got you a present. I designed you a shoe.
Whoa!
I'll give you that later.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to carry it around.
From a good Massachusetts company.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Massachusetts. What brings you to Los Angeles? What are you up to?
Well, I have grandkids out here.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's nice. How old are your
It's good to come out and
grandkids?
see family. The youngest one's 7, the oldest is 16, so
Okay.
enough to have fun with.
Enough to have. Do you take like the kids to Disneyland? Are you a fun
You bet.
grandma?
Yes.
Oh.
So the last time I was out here, we did Disneyland. It was a makeup for someone's birthday, and we had a ball.
You
It's fun.
did? Did
Yeah.
you wear the mouse ears? Do you?
Yes.
You did? Because that's dangerous to put on a hat when you're a politician, right? They can make fun of you afterwards.
Life is too short. No, you gotta get out there and do what you want to do.
All right,
You know?
that's
It was
good.
fun. It was
Because,
fun.
you know, most of the time when we see you, you're grilling somebody or you're letting somebody have it.
Lightly fried. It's the, yeah.
Are you from an argumentative family? Are you guys like fighters, rough and tumble type of people?
You know, that's a good question. I would describe it not fighters in that usual sense. I'm the baby.
Okay.
I have 3 much older brothers, and boy, I tell you, grew up in a household with 3 older brothers. I mean, it's kind of root hog or die. But they're in there. But it is the case that I watched the women in my family really fight for how they saved our family. You know, I grew up in a paycheck to paycheck family. All 3 of my older brothers gone off to the military. Family's starting to get a little bit ahead. And then my daddy has a heart attack. And he's out of work for a long period of time. They take back we lose the family station wagon. My mom was 50 years old. She'd never worked outside the home. And I remember at nights, she'd put me to bed and she'd close the door and she'd cry about what was going to happen. And finally, one morning, I walk into their bedroom and she's got that best black dress laid out on the bed, the one, you know, for weddings and funerals. And she's crying and she's talking to herself. She's saying, "We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house." And she pulls on that black dress and she blows her nose, puts on her lipstick, puts on her high heels and walks to the Sears and get a minimum wage job. And that minimum wage job saved our house and it saved our family. And I learned about women who fight to save their families.
Wow. That's so And now we barely even have Sears anymore
No,
now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It all changes. It all changes, and yet the part that doesn't change, this is what really gets to me, is the part that doesn't change is that middle-class families, working families, people who, you know, work hard, play by the rules, they work harder and harder and harder and just take one punch after another. So it really is the case that at least when I was growing up, that minimum wage job my mother got was at a time when a minimum wage job would keep a family of 3 afloat. You could make a mortgage payment. Today, a minimum wage job won't keep a mama and a baby out of poverty. And you know why that is? It's because Washington, once upon a time, wrote the rules through the lens of what helps middle-class families, what helps poor families get opportunity and move up. Today, Washington writes its rules through the lens of what helps the donors. And the donors don't want to see a higher minimum wage, then Washington does not produce a higher minimum wage, and that is fundamentally wrong.
It definitely seems to be the case, and you even have instances now with Mick Mulvaney where they're actually admitting it, where they're openly saying it.
So you saw this. Mick Mulvaney shows up in front of thousands of bankers and says, you know, back when I was a congressman, when the lobbyists came in, we had a rule in my office that when the lobbyists came in, if they hadn't given me any money, I didn't see them. If they'd given me money, then maybe I talked to them. You know, that's called pay to play. And that's what's gone wrong in Washington. That is a Washington that's working for the lobbyists and not working for the American people.
So when there's something that Americans care about and we tell them, maybe I tell them or other people say, call your congresspeople, call your representatives, your senators. Does that have an impact? Is that even worth doing?
Oh, man, yes. And I'll tell you how we know that. So think about it. I went to watch Donald Trump be inaugurated. I actually wanted to see it. I no further than here to the band. And watch him, and it's good, because it's now burned on the back of my eyeballs, you know? I'm serious. Listen, I ever get tired, a little discouraged, I think, gee, I ought to be working on other stuff. I lean back, I see Donald Trump getting sworn in. I'm back. In the fight. Let's go. Don't win. But I'm thinking about it after he gets sworn in. I'm thinking, you know, this is it. The Republicans now have the House, they have the Senate, they have the White House, and they've already said umpteen zillion times, they're going to roll back the Affordable Care Act. They're going to roll back health care for millions of Americans. And we don't have the votes to stop them. We don't have a way to stop this. And so you think about what happened. The day after Donald Trump is inaugurated, look, his inauguration, the historians are going to write about it for a long time.
Because it was so big, there's so many people
That's
there?
right. First fight he wants to pick. How many people came to admire me?
His first fight was with math.
There you go. That's right. Yeah, but not his last fight with math. But the next day, what happens? The biggest protest march in the history of the world occurs. All those women, all those friends of women, all those kids who got out and said, my voice will be heard. And they protested, they took to the streets, and then everybody else starts coming out. We start doing rallies around healthcare. You start talking about healthcare. People across this country, people come off the sidelines. Shoot, the scientists came off the sidelines, right? When the nerds come out, you know, right? This is it.
They heard it was a women's march. They're like, hey, let us in.
You know, best sign, though, you have to admit, they had great signs.
Oh, the signs were fantastic.
The signs.
Yeah.
My favorite from the scientists was the one, beer, brought to you by science. You know? But think about it. People kept coming out. That summer, I was back and forth in the Senate. Well, I watched mamas show up with babies with complex medical needs. They'd have a baby in a stroller and be pulling a wagon that had breathing equipment and feeding equipment and all kinds of special emergency stuff. And they would get right in the faces of these Republican senators who had announced that they were going to vote to roll back health care. And remember, now it was not only the Affordable Care Act, they were going to roll back parts of Medicaid.
Right.
And they would get right in their faces and say, that's the face of Medicaid. You roll back Medicaid, and this baby does not get the therapist she needs, does not get the equipment she needs, does not get the operation she's. This baby's life is on the line, and I want you to think about her when you go in and vote. And remember how it is by the end of that summer. The House has already voted to repeal health care, to roll back parts of Medicaid for millions and millions of people. When it comes over to the Senate, and you remember how that vote goes.
Yeah.
51-49. We save health care for millions and millions of Americans. But here's the deal. Oh, it's to celebrate, but here's the deal. We didn't have any more Democratic votes than we'd had before. What we had was a change in democracy. What we had was a change in the people who said, democracy is not just something that happens like every 4 years or every 2 years. Democracy is not just, I'll kind of pay attention to the 1 or 2 offices and go and vote. How many millions of people across this country, whether they had health care or not for themselves, said, democracy is up to me. I gotta be in this fight. And they got in the fight, and that's the thing. It's been another group that's come in off the sidelines. The latest, the kids from Florida following the shooting, and all across this country, 14-year-olds and 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds that said, I'm in this fight. That's democracy.
And that's all thanks to Donald Trump for energizing us.
There we go.
Oh. All right. I know everybody asks you if you're going to run for president. I know you're running for senator right now, and that's what you're focused on.
Yep.
But in the chance that you do one day run for president of the United States, have you ever paid off a porn star?
No.
You have not.
I'm quite sure
That's an
about
unequivocal
that part.
no?
Unequivocal no.
All right.
And also, I'm not running for president. I'm running for Senate. Massachusetts 2018.
Senator Elizabeth Warren. If you like that video, then put a ring on it. Click the subscribe button below.